Okay, we are live. This is Hooping Live every Monday at 9 o'clock, and I'm Craig Shipp. I'm one of the show producers, and we've got an all-star cast. Unfortunately, Audrey isn't here tonight. She's traveling, but we do have Matthias in the house, and Matthias, you're on camera.
Uh,
Matthias is a fantastic male hooper. Of course, you can probably tell that by seeing him. And most of you probably follow him already. Matthias, tell the folks where they can find out about you and what you've been up to and all that since the last time you were on the show.
well, I was the 2014 Male Hooper of the Year according to hooping.org, and I have a YouTube video and have taught at like Hoop Camp and HoopCon and various other places. Was one of the organizers for Florida Flow Fest with Sandra Tenenbaum and have taught there every year since the first one. So, kind of my main thing.
Fantastic. And you might want to introduce Jenna.
Hey guys, what's up? My name's Jenna. I've been hooping for about 3 years now, 3 years now. I always forget. And I am local to the Lawrence, Kansas area, and it's great out here. And I'm a hoop pather. I'm repping my hoop path stuff today. Audrey introduced me to hoop path by talking about it so much on the show, and then he came to Kansas City, and I was like, you know what it's all about, and it's amazing. I recommend it to all of my hooping friends, and we recommend it on the show. And I'm very excited because we've got Matthias on tonight.
Before we get to Matthias, I want to thank Hooping Live and all the folks that have been on Hooping Live, because we've kind of cross-promoted a lot with my channel, with my YouTube channel, and I just recently hit 10 million views. So I hit an interesting plateau on my YouTube channel, and it's thanks in part to the Hooping Live community, and some of Audrey's videos that are on there have literally hundreds of thousands of views. So that certainly has helped towards the 10 million views. So I want to thank all the Hooping Live viewers that have migrated over and watched some of the videos, some of the hooping videos on my channel on YouTube as well. And do you all have YouTube channels as well? Jenna, Matthias?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Matthias, how do they find yours?
I just sent you the username. It's kind of basically, if you look up a Komizutama name anywhere, it pops up and it's mine, whether it's komizutama.com or YouTube or Google, whatever. So
I'm going to spell that. That's Komizutama.
That's correct.
Check out Matthias, and I've seen some of your videos come through my Facebook stream, and awesome stuff.
Thank you. I've got another one that was also worked on in partnership with Beta Brand and with Alice Nimmo, or Alice Fire Lily if you follow her on Instagram. And that one actually doesn't involve hooping specifically, but it's got surwheel, silks, and acro yoga. And we might have a hoop involved in the acro yoga. We shot it. I can't remember if it stayed in the edit or not. So that'll be out sometime in the next couple weeks.
Now, did you want to give us a demo tonight?
I can. I'm not sure what to demo. I hadn't thought of anything in particular.
Sometimes we just do, like in the beginning, you just do like whatever you'd like to do, just a quick little thing, just to kind of show.
I'll just flow real quick.
Yeah, well, like what you've been working on lately, or just anything you'd like to do.
So actually, perhaps this is actually probably a better thing to talk you through rather than to demonstrate with a hoop, because my main focus lately has actually been less trick-oriented. It's been more focused on flow development. And I actually just taught a workshop on Saturday in Brandon. It's a 3-hour chunk of material that is focused on specifically choreography and stylization with what you already know how to do, but to find new things in it. I have a while back I wrote a piece about developing your own personal style, essentially. And part of that is that if you spend all of your time watching YouTube videos of what somebody else does, then you never find anything new because you're only looking at what other people have done. In order to find something new that hasn't been done, you have to go out and make really, really spectacular, beautiful, and weird mistakes. And somewhere in there, you find out something new. So kind of one exercise that I like to play with a lot is this idea of if you take a motion that you already know, so like this, and let's say you're just looking at, like, one of these motions, right? we've all kind of covered this. It's a really common kind of figure eight motion. If you put it on the ground, it'd be like a coin rolling on its edges. If you take that and you try and make it as small as you possibly can, and try and focus on what your absolute minimum motion is, and then eventually work on growing it until that same motion gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then seeing how much space you can occupy, and then back into the smallness. And somewhere in there you can start learning things like it opens up space for possibility. Like you can, for example, if you're taking these like lasso motions, if you're going really fast and just whipping them through, then you never really find that like in here you find this spot that you can flip into it and you can find space. There's this idea of looking for repertoire in what you already know and to explore in these spaces that turn into something else. So that turns into something from Katerina, but that was originally this just working from this. By kind of slowing it down and putting it over myself, I find new possibility. And so most of my focus lately has been getting away from technical tricks and technical, like here's how you do wobbles or, you know, the world of body folding or this or that's, you know, or breaks. Like, you know, I was a super techie break guy, and it's kind of more into how do I get in touch with myself and then in touch with my audience. How do I explore a new mode of interacting with the hoop? Like what are the limitations of the rules that I make myself do? Like I will encourage you to try to hoop in the most unattractive manner possible, for example. Like to try and make it look as bad as you can. Because it breaks you out of thinking about things in terms of doing it right, and it breaks you out of thinking of what the correct way of doing it is. And these areas are where the really, really fun, like kind of weird little happy accidents happen that you never find if you're just copying the repertoire that's already been laid down. So essentially what my trick would be, or my demo would be, that I would encourage you is to go and do something that you've never seen before, because you don't even know what it is.
Cool. Jenna, what do you think?
I think that was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard anybody speak in a very, very long time. And I've also thought, have you thought about traveling your hoop workshops to the Midwest? Because I would love to learn from you.
I'm open to that. I know.
All right.
I'm not at school anymore either. Like, so I'm working, so I can actually like go places and do things.
Yeah, you can travel now. You can come see Kansas in all of its flat glory.
Yeah, I've seen it twice. I've driven across it 3 times now.
Oh, driven across it. Yeah, that's pretty much what everyone says. They've either flown over it or driven across it. They've never actually stayed, and I've just lived here my whole life.
I've been in Kansas City a couple nights now in total. Kansas is such an amazing place. You come down out of the hills, and at first you're like, this is so beautiful. I've never seen so much sky. It's so flat. There's so much space. And then it gets flatter. And then you drive a little bit further, and you're like, how does it get this flat? Like, and then it gets flatter. And then, like, 7 hours later, you want to kill yourself. But
yeah. Did you ever, when you were out here, did you ever drive through the Flint Hills?
Through the what?
The Flint Hills. Have you ever driven through that? Because that's, like, really gorgeous. But after, like, 20 minutes, you're just like, okay, I've seen enough cows and hills for a while.
Sounds like North Carolina. Yeah, what is the normal progression? I've actually only been on the show a couple times, and so it's fun to be back on it, but it's the first time without the creative vision of Audrey for me.
Well, you know, for some reason, we don't have very many comments yet.
So weird.
We have viewers, but usually we get comments and questions, but we don't have any appearing yet. But sometimes that's a YouTube glitch, and sometimes they all appear at the same time, like a little bit into the show. So, Jenna, why don't you catch everybody up on what you've been doing in the meantime?
Okay, well, nothing too through my major, which is applied behavior, hooping-wise. But I'm trying. It's also winter here in Kansas. Like, I know Audrey and Will currently are still enjoying sunshine, and it snowed like 2 days ago here. But it's supposed to get warmer next week, so I'm going to try to find some outside time and really work on expanding my flow, kind of what Matthias was saying that he was working on, but not nearly that in depth. But I don't know. I've felt really stuck with my flow lately. I've definitely hit a flow plateau, I guess you could say. And I don't feel myself progressing very much, and I'm trying not to get stuck in it. I'm changing up my music. I'm hooping without music, everything that we suggest to you guys as viewers. But nothing is really working. I hit a little breakthrough the other day. I listened to some Odessa song and really got into it and flowed pretty well, but it was nothing like I was needing. I need like a long, just be out of breath and just in bliss from it, and I haven't hit that yet, and it's so super frustrating.
Do you think when the weather breaks and you've got springtime there that'll help?
Because having it be cloudy and everything. The only problem about spring in Kansas and being outside is it goes from warm and really windy. So I'm not going to get much of a break weather-wise until about June or July.
That's when it gets miserable here.
Yeah, August is miserable for us.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is it gets hot up north too, and it's like, what do you do? I go up to Maryland, but I'm kind of I've got a little elevation where I am, so it helps. But you get those hot, humid days in August and July. So might as well stay down here in Florida.
So I guess I have a question for Matthias, since we're not really getting any questions in the comments. How did you get into like the other flow arts, like Sire Wheel or aerial silks or anything like that?
So the I guess I started hooping first of all, and that for me has been a gateway prop to all kinds of other stuff. It has contributed to me kind of exploring and first just finding out about other things. I'd seen somebody spin poi once before I hooped, and I thought, oh, I can't do that. And then I started hula hooping and kind of got into it, and then bit by bit saw one thing after another and would kind of try out one thing or another. This may help your the problems with flow. I'm actually a really, really big fan of cross-pollination of flow arts. Going to like a multi-prop flow festival like Florida Flow or Flames coming up in Georgia next month, and Fire Drums I think is coming up sometimes soon out west. I don't know all of the multi-prop ones, but those are some of the big ones. And you go to it, and you've got hoopers and jugglers and poi spinners and rope dart and aerialists and staff spinners, double staff, boogang, and everybody's got tons of props. They've got their fire props, they've got their LED props, they've got multiple, just like we have a billion hoops. Everybody who spins staff usually has a couple staffs or a couple poi or that kind of thing, and they'll just swap with you. Like they'll usually trade ideas or show you how to do something basically, and you play with, you play with poi for a little bit, and all of a sudden you go, oh, well, this is sort of like using doubles off body. I can work on the same kinds of concepts with two hoops of the same size off my, off body, or a staff is really just a straightened out hoop in most cases. They're really, really similar in terms of off body tech. I picked up a staff, and it was just like, oh, I can do all kinds of things with it. So I started just acquiring them. Surwheel is a little bit different, because Surwheel is the most counterintuitive thing that I have ever started taking up in my life. That I saw video of a woman that was probably not supposed to be released doing a demo for a Cirque du Soleil show that was going to go up, and it was before the show was released. And I'd seen German Wheel when I was like 16 in the Kidam Cirque du Soleil show, and was immediately obsessed with German Wheel. And then I was like, oh well, I don't know how I'd ever even learn that. But then I saw Cirque Wheel, and I was like, well, I already hula hoop. It's just a big ring. I can figure this out, right? So I spent like 2 months hunting down somebody who had one, and Hugo Noel, who's Circus Concept, he's also a performer, sold me one of his used wheels, and then I spent like 6 months trying to teach it to myself and getting nowhere at all, just really not learning anything. And then finally got a little bit of coaching from David Poznaner, and then went to Wheel Weekend up in Chicago. I just finally caved in. Olive Marie from Detroit told me about Wheel Weekend up there, and so I went and I spent 3 days training with Cirque du Soleil coaches, and at the end of the 3 days I thought I could probably sell my wheel for the same amount of money I got it for and save myself a lot of agony, because I still, after going for 10 hours a day with some of the best coaches, I still couldn't do it, and I was so frustrated. And was really kind of down about it, but I kept kind of messing around with it with other people and still didn't quite get it. And by get it, I mean the basic waltz step. It's sort of like being able to waist hoop. There's a lot of stuff off, like unmounted stuff that I could do, but when you think of Sur Wheel, everybody immediately goes to mounted spinning and that sort of thing. And so it just felt like kind of a colossal failure when it came to that. And I was coming back, and I was staying with Daniel Odette and Canyon in Golden, Colorado. Who, if you're Colorado spinners, you've probably met them. They're absolutely lovely people. And we went to the Spin Jam at a warehouse in Denver, and I brought my wheel, because I was like, you know what, I should put it together so other people can see what it's like, so they don't like spend $800 or $1,000 buying one of these things without having any clue what it's like. And maybe they'll see like, okay, I like it, or okay, and somebody's like, oh, well, how do you do that? Like, well, I can't do it, but if I was going to do it, sort of like, bam, there I go. And I was just spinning, and I got so startled because it's the first time I was ever able to do it that I basically crashed like moments later. But after that, I'd been able to do a basic like that. And it's just one of those things that all of a sudden you get it, and it just makes sense to you once you get it. And it is, I swear to God, it's worth it. I love hooping, and hooping's my first thing, but wheel is like flying through space, for lack of a better term. It's one of the most disorienting, scary, exciting, fun things, like getting your own personal roller coaster that you can steer.
So did you end up keeping it?
Oh yeah, I continue to do it, and now I'm working on even harder movements that involve me going upside down and all kinds of other things that.
Now, while we have a good HD picture, can you hold your hoop for a quick screen grab, because we need one to use for the thumbnail for the video? Hold on a second, and hold nice and still. 1, 2. All right, we'll see how that works.
You can't take yourself too seriously.
Jenna, let's get one of you too.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, try to block that light if you can that's behind you. And we'll wait for, hopefully it'll clear up. Hold nice and still. Okay, yeah, it's clearing up a little bit. Hold nice and still. 1, 2, got it. Perfect. And she froze up. Well, that's a good frozen picture, though.
Oh, really?
Okay, now you're moving again. We really love Jenna's internet, don't we, Jenna?
Love it so much.
So we have a question.
Yeah, you can go through those questions, Matthias, since you have a better connection.
Oh, Jessica Allen. Hi, Jessica. Happy to hear from you. Much love to you. And yes, congratulations to your daughter for being featured. So, ISO is my character in Pool Monsters. I forgot to mention that. How could I mention it? Also, Pool Monsters, the kids' DVD might be turning amazing. It is amazing, but you should get it now because it's going to be even more amazing soon, and I'm not going to say anything more than that. April Adams. So, head hooping. Let's see. For keeping on the forehead instead of on the face, it's all over my face. I I get it on my nose, on my lips, on I mean all over. It's just kind of it just goes places, and don't worry about it so much. It's okay. I guess like kind of getting on the head, the forehead more. Like if you tilt your head back, it tends to kind of go up a little bit. You kind of have to get more angle back and more angle forward to keep it kind of mounted there. But it's all over my face. I think you just don't see how much it's. I mean, it's on like my lips sometimes. I actually kind of enjoy that, and sometimes we'll like do break reverses by biting my hoop and like pulling it to a stop. Like, yeah, I get weird. I'm not really trying to be cool anymore with the hoop. I'm just goofing off, and it's way more fun.
That's insane.
Let's see. We have other questions. I'm trying to go through some.
Looking at the questions, folks, but get your questions in now because we're not sure how long this show is going to be because I've been having some internet issues here, some connection issues. So we might have an abbreviated show. So get all your questions in ASAP. Go ahead.
Happy birthday, Brian. You didn't say how old you were, but happy birthday in Thailand. I've always wanted to go there.
He's one of our best viewers, and he provided the logo, the hoopingLIVE logo.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that logo.
And a bunch of other cool stuff.
Yeah, I've lived in India off and on since I was very small, but I've never been across the bay over to Thailand. Someday I'll have to make that happen. What's your question? So you think, what is like the age of most hula hooper dancers? Let's see. I guess there's a big spread. So when I first started, it was a lot of, and I went to Hoop Path. It was a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds, and then 20 to low 30s. And now there seems to be this huge burgeoning group in the teens and low 20s. So I guess it's weighted kind of heavily in these kind of two groups of very young or baby boomers. It seems like to me. If anybody else knows any different demographics, I guess we don't have like a real hula hoop census yet. That'd be
kind of cool.
That would be worth doing on Unity. I might go do that with my science background and whatnot. That's a good suggestion. Thank you, Bryant. Let's see, Becca. Sound like more dance and not even worrying about learning to. Yeah, dance. I performed a lot in the past. I have not been performing as much more recently. I don't know if Jenna's doing the same thing as me or not. I've done, when I first started performing with Hula Monsters, we did really strict choreo. It was how we went on America's Got Talent, was with really strict choreo. I teach now how to do some choreo, and I use a lot of the stuff from choreo when I just dance, because once you learn how to count and learn kind of the structure and shape of music and how it sweeps, then you kind of can't help but use it. It's sort of like opening your eyes to a whole world of color that you just were, you know, kind of glazing over beforehand, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, I can use, it's not just red, I can use like a red-orange, or I can use like a really scarlet red, or like a kind of purpley red. There's all these reds, so your palette kind of opens up the more you learn about music and music theory, and kind of games of playing with that music. But it's, at this point, I'm working on 2 pieces of choreo that will be filmed at some point when I'm ready for them, but they're kind of back burner projects at the moment. Jenna, do you have any different thoughts on choreo performing?
I actually have never really performed before. The most performing I've done has been like a street performance here in Lawrence on like nice days. I hoop on the corner on Mass Street down here. If any of you are watching are from Lawrence, I'm sometimes down on Mass. But I've never really worked with any kind of choreography aside from the St. Patrick's Day Parade here in Lawrence. Hoop Mamas, who's actually a really big hoop company based here in Lawrence, they put together like a float and everything for the parade, and we actually like perform in the parade for judges. And we actually won 2nd place last year, so we're gunning for 1st this year. But it's all very basic choreography kind of stuff because we're working with such a large group with such different talent ranges. That's as much choreography as I've ever gotten into. So
yeah. See, and we have Kimeka Davis, I hope I pronounced that correctly. I really am sorry if we didn't. Who loves the show and really appreciates it. We really appreciate you, so thank you for tuning in and watching it. It's I mean, I was a new hooper not that long ago, really. It was in 2008, and it took me a month to be able to waist hoop. So I totally get where you're at. So keep going. It gets better. It just keeps getting better. Yeah. And let's see. I guess earlier we were. One other thought actually I had from our earlier statement about when you get kind of on a plateau or when you get stuck, there's like kind of a cross-pollination, but there's also like sometimes I find I have to walk away from it. And the first time I did this, it really upset me because for like a month I just didn't want to hoop, and whenever I looked at my hoop, I kind of be like, nah. Whenever I hoop, it didn't work, and I'd be really upset about it, and it'd feel like nothing was really working correctly, and I thought like, you know, everything I did felt stale and boring and played out, and you know, like I wasn't coming up with anything new. And then I came back after a month or or two roughly, and all of a sudden it was like, totally new again. And it was hard for me to do some stuff that used to be really easy, but then all of a sudden I found all these new areas that I hadn't been exploring before. And I think when that happens, you are essentially giving yourself time to look at it with fresh eyes. And it's easy to kind of get into a rut and to get stuck doing the same thing over and over again. Like, this combo is so good, it just becomes habit, and there's not anything more to that. But if by walking away and coming back, and not even giving yourself the space that, like, that's okay. There's a natural ebb and flow to the creative process, that it's okay for you to want to work on other stuff, or for you to not feel super inspired, and to just make that okay. But then do come back and do pick it up, do try it again somewhere. And now I don't get so upset when those times come. I just kind of go, oh, I'm in one of those pause places where things get a little bit, not super exciting for a little while. And interesting enough, this also carries over into other parts of my life as well, and I've started to be kind of more okay with the long trudges across a flat plane that, and the steep trudges up a cliff that come before I get to be on top of a peak, and to view those as kind of part of the whole process as well, and letting go into that. And then, contrarily, sometimes you just have to show up every day and just do the work. It's like the other side. Sometimes walk away and take a break, and sometimes like go down and go, you know what, I'm not feeling it today, but for 45 minutes I'm going to core hoop in my opposite current. And sometimes I'll do it for 30 minutes, and I really don't get into it the whole time, and the whole time is kind of like, I kind of wish I was doing something else. But I get through it, and then the next day, like, maybe it's a little different. And so those can kind of carry you through it. And when all else fails, hire me to come to your town and teach workshops in flow. Just kidding.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
See, Dominique Reynolds just posted that she is. Let's see. Thank you, Dominique. We appreciate your commenting very much. Oh God, yeah, worrying about what other people think when you hoop. Yeah. Yeah,
could you read it out loud also, just in case people didn't see the actual comment?
Okay, so Dominique is impressed by the supportive discussion of such loose, free-flowing hoop mannerisms, and thanks me for describing what she needed to hear so accurately. Sometimes it's difficult to stop caring what everyone else thinks while feeling many sets of eyes peer into you at such an expressive moment. It is really important to let go and feel your prop drive you. It feels like an extension of yourself, and that unique organic flow is what gives us chills and has us entertained within our sacred circles. I don't think I can put it any better than that. So I think the words from Dominique's mouth summed it up, or fingertips in this case. But yeah. I think we've talked about authenticity and vulnerability and flow a couple times on the show. So
yeah, we definitely have. It's something that gets brought up a lot because everybody has to deal with it, deal with negative hoopers and stuff like that. It's the nature of the beast.
When I started hooping, I had Broheim frat boy types threaten to beat the crap out of me because I was full of hooping. And And I'd like to say that I was responding out of courage or anything like that, and it really was, I was just doing it for the hell of it. And then when people get really mad at me, it mostly took me by surprise, because it was like, it's a hula hoop. Like, it doesn't actually matter. It's a hoop. Like, why are you this angry about a plastic kid's toy? Like, this actually has nothing to do with me. Which turned into actually a really good life lesson for me in other situations where I was thinking that things that people were getting angry about had something to do with me, and realizing that it actually really was just them working out their stuff. And actually, a couple of them, the more aggressive ones, typically would steal a hoop later on, which I always found rather interesting. So, we have another question from Sangrilla. If I may, I'm not a hooper at all, not at my age. Well, I don't know what your age is, but I know 80-year-olds who've begun hooping. So if you are in your low 80s, then you still haven't beaten some of the people that I know who have started hooping. So first of all, found hoopingLIVE to be a great source of cross-pollination into your own form of art. As a composer and guitarist for 40 years, thank you. I like music a lot. It's what allows me to hoop. It's way too easy to get stuck in my head with the music I hear and never commit to written, recorded form. However, since watching this show, you've come across 3 new riff sequences running now, and have been building rough tracks from them, and even browsing through Craig's photo libraries made me think of some completely new harmonic sequences. This show encouraged me to overcome my avoidance of recording my playing while just improving or experimenting. It cannot be overemphasized the benefits of drinking in the energy from other arts to provide fresh ground for contemplation. Sorry for the long post. Keep up the good work, and nice to see other artists at work. There is, I do a number of different other forms of art. I'm also a photographer, and I do sculpture and a variety of things, and I have definitely found that the more you immerse yourself in creative expression of any form, the more it shows up in every form. And I would encourage you to try hooping. Just get a really big hoop and find somebody near you to give you some tips. It'll go a lot smoother. And please share your music with us, because I'd love to know what you're making based off of what you see on here. It's really, really fantastic.
And I am going to share my screen here and some of the photos that he's talking about. If you go to my Flickr, I always like to be able to plug my Flickr. So if you go to my website, which is craigship.com, CRAIGSHIPP.com, and then click through to my Flickr, and just search keyword Audrey. Just search my photos, keyword Audrey, and here's some photos that we've shot. These were all shot this year, and she performed at a New Year's Eve party, and those photos right there are from the New Year's Eve party, and we actually have a video of that performance as well on my YouTube channel, because I covered that for ChooseSarasota.com, the website down here, and so that's where that video is. These are some other videos from a photo shoot. I was testing a new lens with these photos here. Audrey's always willing to help out with that sort of thing. So just take a look, go and just search keyword Audrey on my Flickr if you want to see some of those photos. So that ends my commercial break.
You get to look at Audrey's amazing photos, and she's a very talented hooper, so, and artist in other ways. Also a great photographer.
She's a photographer as well, absolutely. She actually even took a photo of me just recently, which almost broke her camera, but she did that. She was kind enough to do that. Very risky behavior, taking a picture of me, but oh well.
Yeah, a picture she took of me with her iPhone is still my Instagram photograph after 7 months, which is really kind of a record for me. I tend to swap that thing out every other minute. So, yeah. Actually, I think it's on my.
We're getting towards the end of the show, and anybody wants to get any last-minute comments in, feel free to do it now. And while we're waiting for that, Jenna, did you want to try to do a demo?
Sure. Why not?
We didn't.
I'll just go ahead and just do like a silent flow, like we do. Give me just 1 second. So yeah, if you guys see any moves that I do, or if you want to ask Matthias how to do a move or anything like that, just comment down below. Get your questions in before the end of the show. So yeah.
I think we're back on you.
That's all I'm going to do tonight. I'm really sore right now.
I wanted to speak real quickly. One of the comments about being afraid of recording your playing or worrying about just experimenting, it also kind of ties in with the performance anxiety. I think we put a lot of pressure on the concept of art. Like, we put it on a big pedestal and we capitalize it and give it like big exclamation things around it, saying like, in order for us to do something, it has to be, you know, art with these grandiose letters and thoughts. And realistically, art is just what we produce. It's kind of a fall off of these moments when we get in our places of honesty and truth. And so even taking like a moment like Jenna just did to impromptu grab a hoop and spin is art that's every bit as valid as anything else. And it's one of these things where like it can, you know, when we build it up and make it mean so much, then it becomes intimidating and scary to produce something. But you don't need any sort of degree or any sort of certification to hit record on your computer or your phone and then upload it to YouTube. You can just put it up there. And the beautiful thing about it right now is if enough people start liking it, looking at it, and seeing it, then it can go all over the world in moments. And so we're in this kind of very interesting democratic period for particularly video art, where it's very easy to get it to the masses, which is something that used to be very challenging. And the same thing's also true with recording. You put something on SoundCloud, and it's right out there, and people can see it, and people can share it, and talk about it, and think about it. It can affect your other people, and your art can inspire others. So don't let your fears stop you from sharing what you're doing that's genuine. Don't make it about like that you're not good enough or anything like that. You are good enough, and you're not the one who gets to decide what's inspirational for somebody else. They're the ones who get to decide that. So.
You know, Matthias, that's very well said, and I might add, I have like 75,000 photos published on my Flickr, and the first 50,000 were terrible. I mean, terrible photos, right? The next 25,000 aren't that great either, but they're getting better, right? So the more you do, you're going to get better. And the same thing with videos. Do them and get them out there. Some photographers or videographers won't put anything out unless it's perfect, right? So they end up putting nothing out. And so it's like, hey, I say just go for it. Just put it out there if you enjoy doing it and it's something you're having fun, whether it be a still photo or video, put it out there and share it. There are going to be people that are going to enjoy it and are going to get something out of it. And if somebody doesn't get something out of it and they put some trollish comment, just disregard or just say thanks for watching and move on. I know Audrey let some of the comments get to her. She gets mainly very positive comments on everything she does. But occasionally a troll will go in there with a very trollish comment, right? And it kind of gets to her. But you have to just move on and shake that sort of thing off and but share what you want to share, do what you want to do, and it'll get better all the time. So I concur.
It seems some people really don't know how to handle their emotions, and I think it's very threatening to see somebody else being expressive of them. And you can watch something and it can tag something that's very frightening for somebody else. I have a video that involves me in a silver sparkly thong Speedo on a beach, and I had people send me death threats after it, and like tell me they were going to come and kill me and do all these horrible things to me. And you have to realize, like, it really isn't, it has nothing to do with me, really. They've just, something about what I was doing really, really threatens them and really scares them.
Yeah, and for a dead man, you look pretty good.
You know? I did cut my hair, so maybe that was it.
Well, on that note, I think we're going to go through all our contact information and end the show. And so also share comments here. If we didn't get to your questions, or if you have questions that you didn't get a chance to post, feel free to put them in the comments on the YouTube video, and we'll do our best to get to some of them. And if you want to help out on the show, send an email to info@hoopinglive.com, info@hoopinglive.com. If you want to hoop, or if you have a question relating to hoops, send an email to hoop@hoopinglive.com, hoop@hoopinglive.com, and we have that information on Hooping Live, and Bonnie Brown will help you out with that for sure. So we've got a website address. I'm going to spell it for Matthias, KOMIZUTAMA.com, and it's the same thing on Instagram, KOMIZUTAMA, and on YouTube, KOMIZUTAMA. Smart man, he's gotten it on all the platforms. That's the same thing Audrey did with Hooping Live. So she's on Facebook.com/HoopingLive. And Jenna, you can find out about Jenna also on Hooping Live. She's got a section on there. So on the left, when you go down and you look on the panel members and so forth. And we should really get a page on there for Matthias. Would you mind if we added a page for you on there?
You're welcome to.
Okay. So just send me like a paragraph or something on Facebook of what you'd like to have on there, and then whatever links you want me to put, and I'll be happy to do that. And if there's a particular photo you want on there, just send me the photo. So Jenna, anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Other than just thank you for watching tonight, guys. It was a lot of fun to have Matthias on the show tonight, even though we are missing Audrey right now. But we'll have her back next week. But thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next week.
All right, thanks everybody.